Hey, how's it going, everybody? Happy Friday to you. It is the weekend. We are right at the end of the day here, at least in Central Time. So, I've been focusing this week on two themes, so purpose and intention, which are very closely related. And today I want to focus on intention. So, many, probably most contemplative practices that I'm familiar with and have studied begin by asking us to offer, set an intention. So an intention is something that we're sort of tending toward. It's a desired purpose or an outcome that we're placing our desires and our hopes on. And I've also found, though, in working with clients and in my own practice, that intention is something deeper and more spiritual than the typical kind of goal setting that we often do as leaders. So, for example, goals are usually, especially if you do like SMART goals, they're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're realistic, and they're time sensitive, right? So they're very kind of specific and focused in that way. So that might be like a sales goal, or bringing a new product or a service to market can be like a measurable goal in that way. But intention is related to goals, but I find that intention goes even deeper towards like the purpose that's behind or underneath those goals. And it's almost always linked, I find, to some kind of service towards others. Usually, if we're talking about a business context, right, it's service towards customers or clients. But even if you think about it on a personal intention level, like what's your purpose or intention, it usually has to do with, offering something to others that is of value. So, for example, when I've done work in healthcare, we had all kinds of goals, like reducing the length of patient stays in the hospital, reducing the readmission rate, increasing outpatient services. But as a faith based, mission driven healthcare organization, our deeper intention was to bring healing to our patients and to our communities, and in the process, to reveal the healing presence of God. So that was the intention. The goals were up there and they were aligned. Now, what you find is that the most effective and inspiring leaders and the most successful organizations are the ones who have this laser-like focus and clarity about their intentions and are able to communicate that clearly and consistently to their followers or to the members of their organization. So for me in my coaching and consulting work, my goal for every single client is to help them reduce stress, get out of the cycle of overwhelm or burnout if they're in that, connect with their own sense of higher purpose, guided by a divine purpose. Those are the goals. Those are more measurable things. My intention is to share the fruits of my contemplative practice that I've been given by my teachers and the people I've studied with, and the way that that has positively, in fact, impacted my own life and helped me to be successful without kind of losing my mind with stress and anxiety. So my intention is to share the fruits of my contemplative practice with others in a way that brings them healing and wellness and a more intimate connection with God or a higher power or a power greater than themselves, however they envision that. There's also this deeper spiritual side of holding an intention. Everyone who sets out with a big and a lofty intention or goal is going to experience setbacks and obstacles. In fact, I would say if we're not experiencing setbacks and obstacles, then we haven't set our intention or our goals high enough because they're not stretching us. We want to set them out there, right, so that they're challenging but doable. Now, that's where we as highly successful, especially if we're a lot of type A, busy professionals, outcome oriented people, this is where we can start to run into problems. And maybe some of you have experienced this yourself, because we start to get frustrated and impatient when we have these big lofty goals and we're motivated by this higher purpose and it doesn't happen right away, right? We start to, I experience it myself and people that I talk to, and maybe you do as well. Now, that's where Centering for Wisdom offers a different approach. In this practice, I encourage people to let go and surrender in to these difficult experiences. But everything in your mind and your body, when you're caught up in the middle of one of these challenges, is like, I just want to blast through, right? I want to get the outcome. I want to double down and work harder. But there's a gift that we miss if we always do that. And so when I encourage people to let go and to surrender into difficult experiences, my goal here, or not even my goal, I think sometimes God is calling us to discern a deeper calling or purpose or intention that we're being led toward that can only be born out of the challenge and the frustration that we're currently focusing on or experiencing. And truly, I think this is the single most difficult part of being in a leadership position. So, whether you're executive, a senior leader, a business owner, a manager, there are lots of different places where that leadership can take place. It takes place in our families as well. This is the hardest part. It's when we want this outcome because we know it's good and we're like emotionally invested in it, but it's not happening right away. And we start to get frustrated. On a spiritual level, this can be kind of like what is sometimes called the dark night of the soul. That term comes from St. John of the Cross in the 16th century. And we can experience it as leaders and on a spiritual level. And when we're in a dark night like this, our resources are exhausted, our will is frustrated, we're not getting what we want, and we genuinely don't know what to do next. Literally, we come up against with everything, all the skills I've had before, everything I've known, it's not working. So I don't know what to do next. And that's really a painful place to be. It's painful, and it's also where the breakthroughs happen. So it takes immense courage to be able to say, I don't know what to do next, and to open yourself to be guided by a deeper insight or a higher divine wisdom that might be calling us in these challenges. But that's exactly in those moments, if we can let go and surrender into them, that's where grace is guiding us, possibly to reveal to us a new idea or a breakthrough, maybe an innovation or an insight. Every contemplative tradition I've studied emphasizes the importance of intention for our practice. There's a great line that I based the title of this Facebook Live on from Michael Casey. He's a Benedictine monk and a Catholic priest who is writing from the Christian tradition. He writes that intention is the star rising in the dark night. So if we can have the courage to wade into the challenges of that dark night, we can start to refine and hone our intention. Similarly, in the Buddhist tradition, some of you may have heard of the Bodhisattva vow, is an intention or a vow that Buddhists take that is a desire to liberate all beings from suffering and a desire that all beings everywhere would be happy. This is actually has played out in the public in the example of Phil Jackson. Some of you might remember back to the coach of the Chicago Bulls during the 1990s. He was a Zen Buddhist practitioner, and he brought this kind of intention of elevating his players to their highest level during the Bulls' 6 national or world championships that they had during the 1990s. So that's one example of kind of bringing this contemplative space into a highly high pressure situation where he was really successful. The other thing that we learn to do in the dark night is to set or offer our intention, but then to let go of the outcomes. And this is hard too, but we cultivate what we talk about as an inner detachment. It's our inner detachment and our trust that we're being guided by a higher divine wisdom that ultimately frees us from the stress and anxiety of pursuing those big, lofty goals. It's kind of the price we pay for pursuing those big goals. But the detachment helps to keep everything in perspective. So with Centering for Wisdom, you can identify your intention, you can refine it over time, you can set goals that are aligned with that intention. You learn how to take wise and inspiring action toward those goals and that intention every day. And then you just relax as you surrender the outcome to God. That is the true beauty and freedom and power of this process that I call Centering for Wisdom. So if you find yourself struggling with the frustration and the stress of that dark night and you're not sure where to turn next, I would love to invite you to set up a call with me and see how I can help guide you into this process of Centering for Wisdom and find that pearl of wisdom that might be hidden in the middle of the struggles that you might be going through right now. And it's not for everybody. It takes a lot of courage to really lean in and surrender into these painful areas in your business or your leadership or in relationships. But for those who get the support they need and are able to get into that daily centering habit, the results are incredible. It's feeling more spiritually aligned and purposeful than you ever have before, and getting better results in your business or your leadership with less effort and less stress. So if you're ready for that kind of meaningful leadership challenge, then go ahead and click the link right now and book your free breakthrough session. I'm going to put that link up here as well in the chat box. So go ahead and click on that link, or just head over to thomasjbushlack.com/apply. And we'll get on a call and see how we can apply some of this to your own struggles and where you'd like to be in the next few months. And we'll come up with a plan right now. So go ahead and click that link, or go to thomasjbushlack.com/apply. And I'll talk to you soon. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Peace and God bless.